This is Mike Franklin, the property tax guy, and today we are going to assess the assessor for the town of Manlius, and also their Board of Assessment Review and their compliance with New York State FOIL, or lack thereof. We're going to be dealing with Pat Duffy as the assessor, and what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a look at the building here in the town of Manlius. And before we get started, I want to do a shout out to the Long Island Audit and to Lackluster and to Big Nick South Florida Accountability, some people who have inspired me to audit assessors. Take what it is that I've been doing for the past 10 years and audit assessors. And we're going to start with the town of Manlius. The assessor's office is over there on the left. Down here is where they have the hearings. Looks like the doors are closed. But this is a large conference room where they do the Board of Assessment Review hearings and the SCAR hearings. Doesn't seem to be a lot going on today. Okay, again, that's the assessor's office, and this is the town clerk. Yes, my name is Mike Franklin. I've submitted a FOIL request.
Yes.
And the second part of it, I'd foiled some materials for the Board of Assessment Review. Mm-hmm. So I haven't gotten that part yet, but my hearings are next Monday and Tuesday. So I was hoping that I could get everything before then, if that's possible.
Let me see what I can do.
Yeah. This is the Department of Assessment. I guess you could ask questions here. And the assessor, like I said, is around the corner.
This is your follow-up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we've got this one taken. There's another follow-up, right?
Yeah, the Board of Assessment Review, I wanted the submissions that the assessor had submitted to the Board of Assessment Review. In their decision, they said that the assessor's appraisal was superior to the property owners, and but there doesn't appear to be one.
Okay, 61A.
Okay.
Okay, let me take these.
And, I don't need them right now.
Okay.
If I had them by Friday, that would be good enough. So I had the weekend to look over it. So I don't have to, we don't have to do it right now.
Okay.
So if that helps you.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, yeah, and the other thing that I'd asked for was, when there's, say, 3.5 bathrooms, what is he charging for the half bath? What is he charging for a full?
That's a question you'd have to ask them.
Yeah.
I'm
I know.
I'm not part of that office.
They don't want to give me that because then we can figure everything out. They don't want me to be able to figure it out. And so it makes it hard to compare apples and apples if you don't have those figures, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so
Have you?
it's not just him. Every assessor that I've dealt with, they always want to not give that to me because,
Okay.
and but the thing is, I'm entitled to it. Mm-hmm. So that's.
Have you reached out to our town supervisor?
I haven't. I think you have a new one.
John Deere.
Yeah, John Deere. I did write him an email, and I'm what I'm doing here is I'm putting together essentially an audit of this assessor and the Board of Assessment Review, and I'm going to have some recommendations. So right now, your assessor thinks that I'm a crackpot, but I've handled assessment matters in 17 counties, and I know what's going on. And I know what assessors are supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. And I would just like to, a lot of times the town boards, they only have experience with one assessor, whereas I've had experience with dozens of them. So I know how they're supposed to behave. And so I'm going to have a couple of recommendations, like the Board of Assessment Review. They only give people 5 minutes to do their thing. And that really angers people, when you pay almost 30 grand and you get 5 minutes. And then they get the decision back and they check a box that says insufficient information. That really upsets people. So, in fact, by law, they have to provide a real decision, not just denied. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're not doing that. They're just checking a box, and it's just kind of a lack of transparency and accountability, and it just upsets people. There's just some of the people that contact me they're very upset.
Okay.
And so I'd just like to see a little some changes in customer service.
What would you like me to do for you other than retrieving this information by Friday?
Review what it is that I requested and just try to get me everything that I requested, because I've been doing this with him for 4 years now, and like the first time he took me aside after hearing and he says, I said, Pat, where's my FOIL stuff? He says, Mike, I'm not interested in giving you the gun to shoot me in the head with, which is an admission that he's evading FOIL. I said, Pat, it's the law. You need to give me the data. So what I would ask you to do is compel him to give me the data, because otherwise I'm going to have to file in state Supreme Court. And my objective is not to cost taxpayers more money. I want to save them money. And so I don't want to have to do that. But if he purposely evades these things, I have to teach him that he can't do that. But he does it all the time.
Did you want to leave a message for the supervisor? Or?
For the supervisor, I did send him an email.
Okay.
And but he didn't respond to it.
Okay.
But yeah, I would. I think that I could provide some insight that would be beneficial to your taxpayers.
Would like to set up a time to talk to him?
I would love to. I would
He's
love
not
to.
here right now.
Yeah, I would love to.
But Susie could probably set you up with something.
Mm-hmm. What was your name again?
Debbie.
Debbie.
I've been dealing with you for.
Yeah. Okay. So you know who I am. Yeah, I appreciate you always getting back to me.
I would like to set up a time to talk to John if possible.
Of course. Yeah. Hi, I'm Susie. What's your name?
Hi, Susie. Mike Franklin.
Mike Franklin. Okay. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Do you have any particular times that work better for you?
Late in the day is usually better for me.
Okay. Did you want to try for this and later in the days, like after 2 or so?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 2, 3 is good.
Sure.
Pretty much any day except for tomorrow.
Okay.
That's good. Tomorrow's a busy day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whatever time is most convenient for you. Yeah, I'm very flexible.
Yeah.
I'm very flexible.
Yeah. Yeah. I have him on the phone right now if you'd like to talk to him for a moment.
I'd like to finish what I'm doing. Can I maybe have him return my call tomorrow morning or
Yeah, he said, could you return his call tomorrow morning? He's heading into the office now, so
Uh-huh.
if you also
Oh, sure.
are doing something.
Sure, I can stick around and wait for him.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. He said he can stick around if that's okay, John. Okay, great. Sounds good. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, he'll be here in probably a few minutes. Then.
Terrific. Thank you.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Terrific.
that's all good. And you're welcome to just come and sit and wait if you'd like. I'm just
Okay.
doing some more.
Sit in the sunshine, you can
Yeah,
sit in
yeah.
here, whatever you want to do.
I'm just going to walk around the building a little
Okay.
bit.
Yeah,
What goes on downstairs?
There's court is down there and recreation is down there.
Okay.
And that's about our janitor's office is down there.
Terrific. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll just be wandering around a little bit.
Okay. Alrighty.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay. Well, that's very nice. Oh, here's the court down here. Behind that door. Our bathrooms. Yeah. So I was, Debbie's handled my FOIL request for probably 4 years, and she always, she does her end of it. It's the assessor that doesn't get me what it is that I ask for. Nice building that they have here.
That was quick. Well, it's not a big building.
Yeah,
Oh, it's a
definitely not a big building.
pretty nice setup, though. You got good parking and everything.
Yes.
And
It's used mostly for mail, but
yeah. So
the walkers.
I've been battling with Pat for quite a while. He's an able adversary, but I've done this in 17 counties, as I mentioned, and so I get a feel for how people respond to these things. And I was also a SCAR hearing officer myself for 4 years, so I have kind of experience from both ends of it, and basically, some of these small towns, the stuff that goes on, it's just how are you?
Sir.
My name is Mike Franklin,
Nice to meet you.
and it's an interesting study on human nature, basically, what goes on in some of these towns. I had one assessor was peering in one of my client's windows when she was getting out of the shower, and his name is Tom. We call him Peeping Tom, and I don't think he'll be doing that anymore. But so my name is Mike Franklin. I do property tax matters. So I've been battling with your assessor for quite a few years, and he likes to evade my FOIL requests, delay them. They give you 20 days so he can withhold the data just long enough so I won't have it for bar. And by law, yeah, you do have 20 days, but you can't purposely delay it. But he does. That guy has a checklist of technicalities that he uses to get people's cases dismissed. I had one client. He's in his 70s. He's been paying taxes here for 40 years, and Pat tried to get his case dismissed, claiming it was a day late during COVID. It doesn't get much lower than that. A guy's been paying his share all these years, and he treats him like that. And the hearing officer actually did dismiss the case. And he walked out. And so I had to write him a little email. I said, a hearing officer cannot make good decisions from the bench. You need to reconvene this thing. And he did. And we got, I think, $165,000 reduction on that. But Pat shouldn't be doing that. He also had one of my client's son, he was in his late 20s. It's his first house. It's like 300 and I think he paid like 325 for it.
Are you?
No, I just brought him down here and
Okay.
I had the foils. I thought we were gonna go to Pat, but he said he can wait and see if
Yeah,
I
here.
can,
Why
if
don't
I
you-
can
yeah.
get the information by
Yeah,
Friday.
we'll go sit down in my office.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, let me know if you need
Um, so I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah.
And it was Mr. Deere.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've probably seen all these First Amendment auditors doing this stuff, but I've been doing assessment challenges for 10 years. So I just want assessors to treat taxpayers properly. And Pat has been very dismissive of people. Basically, he applies mass assessment techniques, which is what you have to do when you have 14,000 properties. I understand that. But when a taxpayer calls it to an issue to his attention, because when you have 14,000 properties, you're bound to make a mistake, you know? And so if someone brings it to his attention, he needs to look into it in good faith. He doesn't have to roll over for them, but look into it in good faith. If he agrees, make an adjustment. If not, politely point them to their appeal options. It's as simple as that. But he likes to fight with me every single time. And he delays getting me the data. He withholds data. And that's problematic. But also, so, Pat is one thing. But also the way your Board of Assessment Review handles things needs some tweaking too. Some of the people that contact me are so upset when they get 5 minutes to do this stuff. I had one guy, he was paying almost 30 grand in taxes, and they didn't give him the time of day. And also, they check a box, insufficient information. By law, they have to do a proper decision. You don't just check a box. They're violating New York State law by doing that.
Okay.
And I don't know what the law is as far as giving people time, but 5 minutes clearly is not enough. And I understand you have a lot of people that you have to do, but you're also collecting money from all those people, 14,000 properties. So you should be able to give people at least 15 minutes to argue their cases. If you're taking money from somebody, you need to fulfill the service. So
you're saying there's a box on the form that just says insufficient data?
Yeah, insufficient. It said, I wish I had one of the things in decisions in front
Something
of me.
along insufficient information.
Yeah, I was a hearing officer myself for 4 years. I was a state hearing officer. So when I wrote a decision, my decisions would be 4 or 5 pages long. I wanted to be 100% transparent and say exactly why, not just because I said so. Because that's the problem I have with Pat. It's so because he says so is not good enough for me. He needs to quantify these things, and he resists doing that. Mm-hmm. It's like a fiefdom issue. It's like I'm invading his integrity or something like that. It's got nothing to do with that. He thinks that I'm a miserable person, but when it's a good assessor, I'm as nice as can possibly be. But if you sandbag me and you jerk me around and you waste my time, then I can be a miserable son of a gun. Because I'm gonna keep after him, and if an assessor is behaving particularly badly, I will inundate that town with postcards and social media ads, and I could inundate him with cases if I wanted to do that. But that's not what I'm interested in. I would like him to, just do exactly what I said. It's okay to apply 14,000 mass assessment techniques. That's not a problem. It's the only way you can do it. But when somebody calls you, you respond to them promptly and you get back to them and you look into it in good faith. You don't just say, nope, it's just because I said so. Because I had a client call him yesterday and says, oh yeah, I know that one. No, I'm not doing anything for you. And the guy was not happy about that.
Can I ask the client's name?
Flynn. We'll be having a case on Monday with Flynn. Dennis Flynn.
At the SCAR?
It's at SCAR Monday. We settled the 2 other cases, but for example, on page 4 of the RPTL 738, the SCAR petition, on page 4, the taxpayer signs that I am their legal representative. Pat has refused to engage me regarding my clients. That's pretty inappropriate. And he says, Mike, you're not an attorney. I said, Pat, no, but my client is an attorney. I was representing an attorney. I've won cases for 2 attorneys in this town. I'm an expert in valuation. And I'm a real estate broker, and so I have real world experiences to things list for, sell for, assess for, and appraise for. But Pat has the ability to do this job. He's just he's got just treat customers better. That's all. And I'm not here to bust his chops. I'm here to get to. I do not bring cases to SCAR unless I know I'm right. That's why I win almost all of them, because I don't help people secure more than they deserve, because then I would be a jerk, wouldn't I, if I did that? I don't do that. And so I probably this year I had 10 people call me, and I only took 3 cases. The other 2 of them were severely underassessed. I mean, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And
Underassessed?
underassessed.
Okay.
So I told them, you might want to just lay low, okay? And then say the other 5 were just, close enough. And so I basically helped Pat do his job by telling these people, you don't have a case. So you're wasting your time, and I don't help people who are trying to get something for nothing. If I'm here, it's because I know I'm going to win, unless Pat sandbags me. Pat beat me on one last year because the house is so big it just looks like $1 million. But it was built in 1957, and he's comparing it to all these properties that are much newer construction in other neighborhoods. It's when people buy something like that, they have to heat it, they have to maintain it, and that impacts fair market value. And what Pat did is he was off by about $100,000 on the land assessment, and he told the hearing officer that land doesn't matter. I go, the state begs to differ with you. If land didn't matter, why do they keep track of it? So what did he do? He pulled the number from the land and put it on the property. It seems pretty arbitrary to me, So fortunately, we were able to get that resolved this year, and the taxpayer's happy on that one. So, we only have one case to deal with. The other one was an attorney. He's a professor up at SU, and Pat would not allow me in the meeting to discuss that property. But he made a deal with the property owner, so all's well that ends well. So that's what's important, is to just get down to what is right, and that's what we did. But I would just like Pat to another thing I've foiled and he's refused to provide is the tables for what does he charge for half a bathroom? What's he charge for a bedroom? That way we can quantifiably calculate these things. But he refuses to give me that. But he's not the only one. All assessors try to protect that because then you can pin them down. You can calculate this thing quantitatively instead of just. It's so because I said so. So that's what bothers me the most, is that it's so because I said so. It just doesn't fly. You shouldn't treat taxpayers. And one of the reasons that I do this, I don't do it for the money. I'm a real estate broker. I do this because, for example, did you ever notice that the people who burn cop cars and burn police precincts, how many of them do you think are homeowners? I'd say just about none of them. You have to protect the homeowners. They are the foundation of the country. So, to me, what I'm doing is it's a public service to help taxpayers keep from being abused. That's why I do this stuff, and I think I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying to do the right thing, and I would just like cooperation from Pat. He thinks that I have a bad attitude, and I can have a bad attitude when he responds. So, there's just kind of a vicious cycle going on. If we can just stop it and say, Pat, I will stop being aggressive towards you. If you stop being aggressive towards me, give me the data. Let's talk about it. If you agree with me, make a change. If you don't, let the hearing officer decide.
So your main grievances are how BAR is handling itself, 5 minutes, and the insufficient information.
Correct.
And then you're claiming that Pat is delaying FOIL responses.
Yes.
Unnecessarily.
Yep. And as an example, we had a contentious case a couple of years ago, and after Pat wanted to talk to me afterwards, so we went off to the side, and I said, Pat, where's my FOIL data? He says, Mike, I'm not interested in giving you the gun to shoot me in the head with. Those are his exact words. So that's an admission of evasion of FOIL. He purposely delayed and purposely refused to give me that information. For example, I had one case, it was a commercial case, and there had been a lawsuit, like 4 years earlier. As soon as he was legally able to change the assessment, he did, just to be spiteful, to make the taxpayer have to hire a lawyer and go to state Supreme Court again when it was already resolved. And so I asked him for his entire file on the property, including the legal documents. And then when we got to BAR, he says, "Oh, I didn't know that you wanted the legal papers." I said, "Pat, I asked you for your entire file." He purposely evaded me, and so the whole idea for me to get all this information is so that we can get to what is proper. What's the proper figure? If he disagrees with me, that's okay. That's what the hearing officer is for. That's what bar is for. And frankly, I've won for every taxpayer that I've done here. It's probably 4 years. I've won a reduction for every single one of them. Every single one of them. But I've had to fight with him throughout the entire time. And like I said, the one guy I lost, but we finally got it adjusted. But I thought that was the most obvious case that I had. But and another one that he did, and I some of these people I do this for free. I do it pro bono. We had a guy who's a brand new Slovakian guy, brand new to the country, young guy, bought one of those condos over by Verbeck, if you know where that is. And Pat pinned the purchase price as the assessment. It's illegal. It's illegal. And so, we went to the hearing and we got him a reduction. I didn't charge the kid anything. And it's against the law. And in fact, probably half my cases with Pat are welcome stranger violations. It's illegal, and so if we can resolve all this stuff, these things will go much easier, and again, I have no intention of creating. We had a lawsuit last year with one of my or maybe it was the year before with Camperlino. Are you familiar with that one?
No.
Here's what Pat did. Camperlino had a piece of property that some guy who inherited he made money on Apple stock or something. He bought the Delphi Falls and donated it as a county, and he bought this other piece of land over off of True K Road, and it's got waterfalls and everything. And he donated that. I don't know if he donated to the town or who he donated that to, but anyway, Camperlino made a lot of money on that parcel. It was just a freak thing. Who would have known that was worth $1 million? Yeah. But it was. So there was another property that was contiguous to it, but it doesn't have waterfalls. It's completely different. And what did Pat do? He raised his assessment from $40,000 to $400,000 overnight. His taxes went from $1,600 to $16,000 overnight. And Pat told me to pound sand. He wouldn't even talk to me. And so we had to get a lawyer and sue in the state Supreme Court, and we got it reduced down to $100,000. So I don't know what that cost the town as far as attorney's fees, but it was completely unnecessary. And, he had nothing to support his valuation. It's just so because he says so. I think he just wanted to stick Camperlino because he made money on the other land deal. So maybe in his mind he was doing the right thing, but it's selective assessment. It's illegal. So you're trying to do the right thing by doing something illegal. It's not the way it's supposed to be done. So if he could have saved everybody attorney's fees if he just talked to me. Yeah. And but he just likes to fight with me. So anyway, again, I think you got the picture. With Pat, like I say, he's technically competent. He's very experienced guy, but he needs to be more responsive to taxpayers. If he were responsive to taxpayers, there would be no reason for me to be here. Yeah. I'd be out of a job, which I would have absolutely no problem with. If all the assessors were treating people properly, I would be more than happy to not be doing this, and because it's a lot of paperwork and it's a pain in the ass. Yeah. And and I was telling you what he did to Camperlino's kid. He's 28 years old. He bought the house for like $325. It was assessed at $380. He thought it should be $325. That's perfectly reasonable. There's case law that supports that that's the case. And Pat got the case dismissed, claiming he didn't serve the school district the petition. Do you think the school district is going to read this petition? They don't read them. They don't care unless it's a shopping mall or something like that. Then they care, but they don't. But they don't read them and they don't care. But not only that, you could consider what he did as the unauthorized practice of law, because who is he to make legal arguments for the school district? He doesn't work for the school district. And I don't know if the school district would want to treat taxpayers that way. It would be a bad optic for them to be treating people that way. They might not agree with him, and yet there he is making a legal argument on his behalf. It's just, and Pat showed me he had a checklist of these technicalities. Why would you want to stop somebody from having their right to be heard? What is wrong with him? It's just not right. But like I said, he's capable of doing the job. He just, I don't. Probably both he and I both need Dale Carnegie training or something, And but the bar is is pretty simple. They need 15 minutes. That's 5 minutes is ridiculous, and they're probably doing it because they have so many cases. But you're collecting money from 14,000 people. You should have the resources to do the job properly, and the decisions they have to make proper decisions. It's so because I said so is not good enough.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know anybody on the Board of Assessment Review because I've decided I don't even bother with them anymore. Because it's a waste of time. And so I just do my written petition, which suffices so I can go to the next level, and then I just beat them at SCAR. Because basically the bar is a pointless bar because as far as the properties that I've had, I don't know what experiences are of everybody else, but I tell you, my clients are really not happy with your Board of Assessment Review. Just, I'll give you a quote of what one guy said. He says, "I'd rather give you the money than those assholes." That's how he feels about it.
Would you be able to ask those folks to send me an email explaining how it went so I can
Sure.
have a better understanding? I'd love to hear from their perspective
Sure.
how they feel about it. That would help me a lot, quite honestly.
Sure, you got a card. I can. I'll give them your email address and ask them to.
Here, I'll give you a couple just in case you want to hand them out. I'm always happy to talk to folks about their experience. I try not to get involved in the assessment,
Yeah.
but I mean, as far as their experience at the bar and what can be done to make that a better experience, I'd love to hear the
I
feedback.
appreciate that. Well, I know you guys had a change of of supervisors and the board too, and I noticed the difference in his behavior just from that. It was definitely for the better. But not including me in the hearing with one of my clients is kind of, and my client is an attorney, and he told Pat, this isn't right, and he told him, Pat, if this has to go to state Supreme Court, obviously this is going to be coming up in the discussion. And so Pat made a deal with the guy because he knew he was going to get a beat down, and so he just people need to be accountable, and that's what I'd like to see Pat do. Is just be accountable and just be quantifiable. When a taxpayer calls him, respond and look into it. It's his job.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science really, but I'm not an anti-assessor guy. And when you have an assessor that does a good job, they're worth their weight in gold because they're very hard to find. It's a very difficult and thankless job, and so I respect a good assessor, and I don't just bust on assessors that I'm ticked off at. When I see a good assessor, I say so. And the assessor up in Clayton, she's the best assessor. She's nowhere nearly as good at valuation as Pat is, but she's 100 times better at customer service.
Yeah.
And she answers the phone, and she goes right out, and she just gets right on it. And when she disagrees with people, she helps them with the appeal process. She helps them with the paperwork. That's what you're supposed to do. It's a customer service issue. But anyway, I don't take up your whole day. I appreciate your listening to me. I really think that most towns they're defensive towards me, and but the thing is and they view me as a crackpot, but the thing is they should listen because I'm defending the taxpayers, and They just need to treat these people better. It's just as simple as that. But I can appreciate when you have 14,000 properties, it probably gets to be quite a mundane task, and it's difficult, and you're answering all these calls. But the thing is, you took the job, and when you take money to do a job, and you don't do it, well, they arrest contractors for doing that, and so if you get paid, if you agree to do a job, you get paid to do the job.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. If you don't like doing it anymore, step aside and let somebody who does like doing it
Absolutely.
do it. And so, anyway, I appreciate your time.
Yeah. Would you be willing to send me a copy of the video?
Sure.
I would really appreciate it. Just send it right to my email.
This is my first one.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know
those
how
little,
good.
Those little gimbals are great.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought this phone specifically
For that?
for this purpose because there's this other guy called the Long Island Audit. Have you ever
Oh,
heard?
yeah.
Well, I just heard through the grapevine that the Unified Court System sent a memo to everybody in a court system in the state that you need to let this guy photograph in all public areas. And so they're finally getting the memo
Yeah.
because he's been arrested. I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
And so he just won a case out in Chicago where they arrested him, and he's going to take them to the cleaners. And it was absolutely he made an absolute fool out of the state's attorney.
Yeah.
Made a fool out of her. It's hilarious. Yeah, they tried to arrest him for disorderly conduct.
Yeah.
So,
of course.
So the reason I got this phone is I have another phone in case the cops take my phone. I didn't know what to expect here today, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah.
Were you here for a particular FOIL request today, or just in general?
No, I just wanted to let her know that that some of the things that I foiled hadn't been met yet, and I just want to let her know that my cases are on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
After that, it won't be of any use anymore, you know.
Yeah.
And so I just asked her if there's any way she could, come up with that by Friday. Would be so I have the weekend to review all the
Yeah.
stuff. So,
Give me some time.
well, I appreciate it,
Yeah, absolutely.
and I'll send you a link.
Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for coming in.
Have a good day. Thank you. The property tax guy. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Excellent. Well, there you have it. Town of Manlius. This is my first day with my gimbal, so I don't know if I've got how the footage will come out. But again, it's Mike Franklin, the property tax guy.